I invite you, wherever you are, to take a breath in and then slowly release your breath. Keep breathing out, release all of it. And when your body is ready, take a nice, deep breath. Feel the air filling all of you. And then release your breath. Feel the tension release from your body, from your mind. Breathe in. Thank you, air and fire. Breathe out. Thank you, water and earth. It is all of the thing, all the nitty gritty that's happening, in terms of like trees and shrubs and perennials and everything. But then it's so much wider because it goes out to habitat, which is really about compassion. And it's like gardening that gets us out of our own self, because we tend to implode upon what's happening with me and my garden. And this is really about like, it's not denying that you have a piece of land to tend, but it's like bringing in more of a fullness.
I've been gardening for over 2 decades, and I know a lot of disparate dots. And it wasn't until tree school that those dots sort of connected in a way that impacted how I approached the garden and how it influenced whatever projects I decided to do in the garden.
I keep thinking about how tree school and the tree school community is an invitation to show up as you can when you can. Like, even if I haven't shown up in a couple weeks, the trees and the plants will be happy that I came out today, which seems to be like a really nice metaphor for so many other aspects of life. Like, it's a really non-punishing way of approaching life. Tree school is teaching me that.
One of the things that really was helpful about tree school was the balance of very specific knowledge, right? Here's how you prune this thing. Here's how you make a swale so that it holds water. A lot of technical knowledge, which built my confidence in doing what I was doing. But also, there was not a single tree school activity that wasn't a metaphor or allegory for something else in my life.
I think of my gardening practice as like baby steps, whereas prior to tree school, it felt very daunting to me to even like accomplish anything in my yard. Whereas now, like any little effort I make, I'm very proud of, and I know it's going towards a bigger picture of like where I want my space to be long term. And it's just constantly looking at my space and upkeeping it because I'm just so proud of it now.
I tended to neglect myself and things I wanted to do based on, let's go do this. Somebody wants me to go do this there, and somebody wants me to go do that there. And I'm being more like staying on a schedule more and making sure that I take care of those things. And if I don't have time to do the other things with other people, I just have to say, I have to limit the amount of other activities if it's going to mean I'm going to neglect my yard and my inner garden.
So really the core of tree school is the interconnection of the 3 gardens. Our home garden, our inner garden at our heart, and the world garden. And it's really the nurturing of these 3 gardens simultaneously, also individually, but then bringing that back together that is really where climate resilience comes from. So, you know, a lot of times as earth tenders and as gardeners, when we're thinking of climate resilience, of course, we're thinking about the world, we're thinking about our own home garden, you know, and there's also a lot of emotion that comes up in that. And the tending to that emotion and the growing of our own spiritual resilience is really the tending of our inner garden.
It's easy with climate change, with conflict. It's very easy to lose hope of where we're headed, how we as a species have managed to really do some significant damage to our world garden. But with Tree School, doing the inner, extending it to the home, and then applying that or seeing that in the world garden, it gives me an element of hope I don't think that I had or was able to really tap into, and which I think being in community with other tree schoolers really helps.
I think for myself personally, for my family and my friends, tending to the land, one, to realize that I'm a part of something bigger, and it also gives me space and rest in order that I might show up for my community in other ways. And also it seems that tending land and land stewardship also holds space for those who are out standing up and fighting, also have a place to heal and rest and consider and be held. So it seems very integral to the very complicated human experience to be tending the land. Yeah.
So with our nurturing of the world garden, what we bring in is a sense of actually this area that I'm tending is interdependent upon what's happening next door to me, what's happening across the street, what's happening in my city. And then we start to be able to bring in mentally, like energetically, what's happening around us, even what's happening in other parts of the world that might be, bringing up grief for us, or worry, or anger. You know, we like bring it in and we go, oh, okay, I'm going to tend this piece of land here on behalf of all of those who are suffering, and I'm going to bring them in, as opposed to feeling like we have to kind of shut it down. You know, we bring it in and we like titrate it in a little bit so that we're actually gardening with everyone. We're not gardening alone then. We're in a time that's been named by various spiritual leaders as the unraveling, degenerate times, the great turning, to name a few. Collectively, globally, we're going through a cataclysm brought on by the unraveling of both the climate systems and social systems, which are interdependent. Like a massive, chaotic, intertwining vines, these times can feel overwhelming and confusing. The Tree School Mentorship is a place where we invite and welcome questions, such as, what is the connection between my ancestry and my relationship to land? What does healing and repair mean to me? What movement for change is inspiring to me? And how can I practice seeing myself and my garden as connected with this movement, as not separate from it? In Tree School, we explore the open meadows, not necessarily needing to know the answers right away. With curiosity, we feel into what is hidden, like the root zone of our urban forest, pulsing beneath pavement. We help each other compost old, outdated beliefs and come forth with the rich soil of more questions. In this way, we collectively create community rooted in curiosity, trust, and a willingness to delve deeply with respect and love.
So one of the models of Tree School is we help each other out. There's a lot of mutuality that happens, and whether it's specifically with Tree School members or not. So I think that's something that's really gone forward. There are things I can do and I have the personal confidence to do. There's also things where it's okay for me to ask for help.
It really felt like we all had our own goal, and all of our goals were so different, but we all had this one thing in common, which was learning more about like plants and trees. So if I had a question or a problem, I could not only turn to Corva, but other people in Tree School, and they could provide answers for me based on their own experiences. And so it was like a good support system to have all these people in the same program, accomplishing their own goals, but also helping each other.
The other thing that's really cool about the program is that everybody who enrolls gets to have a work party at their house, where everyone in the program comes to their house and we work on a project together and accomplish that project together. So right there, it's like we really bust through overwhelm.
So one of the Tree School days we got to spend in my yard, I found out that there was fabric in my backyard. I had no idea. So we were pulling back the pebbles and found fabric and got to rip up like half the fabric in my yard in one afternoon, which felt so good, and the earth got to breathe again. And in that same afternoon, we were able to install a bathtub, which was my main goal, was to have an outdoor bath. And the bath has a little hose that connects to it so that when I'm done, the water can drain back into my pond, so we're not wasting any water. And again, like, I thought it was going to be a really hard project, but with like 5 people working on it at once, it was really, really easy, and we got it done in like a day, which was nice.
Yeah, so Tree School coming to help work on the day, the work party, and having everyone be like, well, what's your vision? How can we support your vision? And to be like, oh, it felt so supportive. And then to also embrace that I do have a vision and I do have an idea, and having people ask intentional questions helps to clarify that vision. Yeah, it's so nice.
Yeah, so having people over, just creating community, really lovely. Because I think that that the way Tree School operates, there's enough of a sense of what the boundary conditions need to be, what the rules of operation are in terms of courtesy and willingness, and everybody getting their time to talk and everybody's voice being important. So how often in life do we get a group of people that operate like that? So it was really lovely. I enjoyed it every time, and I enjoyed going to other people's homes as well.
My yard is, replanted and landscaped with our meats, and either I could have hired a person to come and do that for me, but this was a group effort, and I got my yard done the way it needed to be. Things pruned, the trees are healthy. I mean, you pay for that all the time when you hire like a tree service, for pruning. And plus, you learn a little bit of things yourself, how to take care of your tools, and you learn that things need to be done every now and then. You can't just leave it and ignore it. That way you catch things before there's a problem.
Everyone really develops a gardening practice that's really unique to them, and that they end up being able to continue with as they, graduate, but then they're still connected with Tree School, so it helps them keep this practice going, like this familiar rhythm of the inner garden, the home garden, the world garden, and kind of the in and out.
Tending to the inner garden really helps me do that slowing down process of thinking before I act and actually asking questions, asking for permission.
The thickness of fear between me being in my living room and go outside and planting something is decreasing all the time. Before, like a year and a half ago, I would have just been like, oh my God, those bulbs, I have to plant those bulbs. They're gonna go this weekend. When can I plant those bulbs? I'm not gonna plant those bulbs. I didn't plant those bulbs. I still didn't plant those bulbs. I'm never gonna plant those bulbs. And then I don't plant those bulbs. But now I was like, well, I don't know what's more important than planting those bulbs. So then I just went and planted the bulbs. I still have fear. It's just not as a big of an obstacle as it was before.
Just confidence to be in my garden and do things and not worry about messing it up, because most of the time whatever it is will grow back anyway. Yeah, no, just a little more at ease in my own space, and also greater commitment to the practice of being in my garden. Just taking time in the garden, and if I don't feel up to the physical labor of it, just hanging out, having chairs and seating areas where I can just observe and enjoy 10 minutes of sunlight or whatever it is.
The confidence of just doing it, because I'd rather try and fail than to just let my yard just become what it is. You know what I mean? So that definitely was the biggest thing I took away from tree school.
The support of being part of the tree school, continuing to be part of the tree school community, is that someone will share a little joy that they're having in their garden, which invites me to go see what bits of joy I can experience in my garden.
It's a great way to meet people of like mind, and if you're not really into gardening and want to learn more, it's the perfect way to approach what gardening means, and it's not just getting out there and planting things and making sure that they're alive or will live. It's a lot more nuanced and a lot bigger than that, in a good way. So if you can do it, do it. Join tree school. I've learned so much, not just academia, not just knowledge. It's also heart knowledge and spirit knowledge, connecting to on so many different levels. It's a really, what is the word? Complex intertwining of things.